Recording's on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's on.
Do we have any apologies for absence?
We have none.
We're not all here, are we?
We are missing Councillor Shepherd.
Did none of the new councillors get appointed to this committee?
Not yet.
Not yet. We haven't had any.
That's not happened yet.
No.
No. Okay. Any interests or dispensations? No? Right. This is the last meeting then, which was on the 3rd of September. Anybody anything to raise from that? On a correct record of the meeting? Surely we will. Yeah?
I'll propose them.
Can we have a second, please? Thank you very much. Should we sign the minutes then? Right. Public participation? Don't think so. Significant decisions?
There are no significant decisions in the parish this month.
Right. Okay then. So to receive the planning application for 77 Desmond Road, single storey rear extension.
Okay, so let's receive the location and block plan. These are the comparisons. And further comparisons. And similar. Okay, ecology response, so they have said there are records of bats, hedgehogs and swifts near this site, so they've requested further photos to more. Oh, that's not moving. And southern water response, there was no objections. And that's all we have. Back to you, Chair.
Right. Any comments?
yeah. There was one neighbour complaining about the roof of the proposed extension. It'll cut up the. I think it'll cut out the light from his garden if he has a sloping roof.
Okay.
As far as I know, it's the right one. I hope it's the right one.
I haven't
Richard.
checked it today, so it could well be that it's been changed since I sent this out. Yeah. Okay, so that is the neighbour's objection comment.
How steep is the pitch roof? Do we know? There certainly doesn't seem to be much there to indicate any height one way or another.
Yes.
My only comment on the comment that that person has made is that there are requirements regarding light and that sort of thing. So I would imagine if it doesn't meet the standard, it would get rejected. But if it does meet the standard, then it meets the minimum standard. So I personally have no objection.
I don't have any objections. It's a single story.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I can't really see if it was flat.
It's not flat. It's,
No,
Yeah.
no,
yeah.
no, what's that?
If it's flat, it'll be okay. I think it'll be.
Yeah, but
It's
I
minimal.
can't see why that.
No.
That would make an awful lot of difference.
No.
Would you? No, I've got no objection.
I'll propose no objection.
I second it.
Those in
Yeah.
favour? Thank you very much. Right, the next one is for 77 Pastoral Avenue.
Another 77.
Yeah.
Yes, 77 is that. Correction of
is the comparisons. I think we can do a bit more on that one. There was a flood risk assessment and they said that the area is low flood risk and that they didn't require a detailed further flood risk assessment as it is currently in flood zone 1. Ecology response, they have said there are records of hedgehogs and bats near the site, so they would require close-up photos taken in good light of all the areas of the roof. And that's all I have on that one. We'll just double check that if any comments have come in since
There
I
aren't.
last did this. No, however, a tree officer consultation response has come in, so let's have a look at that. Okay, so the tree officer consultation says they raise no agricultural objection to proposed development. And that's all the information we have on that.
That's a lot, is it?
I propose that one.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Can I just confirm,
Propose
what are
what?
you proposing?
Proposing no objection.
But no, yeah, no, but no objection. Yeah. No.
Right. Anyone in debate? Anyone in favour of that? Seems a bit. We've got 2 planning applications. And there are loads of planning, there's some, honestly, there's far more than that come through. Have we received it all?
Yeah, I do double check against the planning portal for our area, that's
Yeah,
all
for
there
our
is.
area there weren't.
Oh,
There might be an Eastleigh North way.
there just seems to me to be a lot more, doesn't there? No, that's fine. I can help with it. Shorten meeting, okay then, highway matters. Verbal update from Deputy Clerk.
Okay, so I received this email today on the M3 junction 6 to 5 embankment work, so they will be closing it overnight to undertake some work. Apart from that, that is the only highway update I have. Does anybody have any other updates?
No, I get emails every week about that junction. Standard thing, really. Okay, any other highway matters? Okay. Planning projects. Remove the barriers.
Yeah, so if I can just add on to remove the barriers, the reason why there is a bit of misinformation here, so the committee decided and discussed that it was currently on pause, the remove the barriers. The community engagement officer has been given some information that there is a list of barriers that have been recognised by some individuals on EBC side, and so they are going to send us the list of barriers that have been recognised for us to review. So once we receive those, it will come back to the committee for full review, and we can then prioritise what work can be done and try and work with alongside EBC and HCC to get that done. So once we have that list, I'll share that with you.
Right. Tina.
Can I just ask, I mean, presumably at the moment, in terms of costs, none of that would be our responsibility at the moment because we don't own anything.
So obviously the budget we have, there is little we could probably do for the costing side. However, there will be some barriers that, for instance, they don't have the bandwidth to deal with, but they're quite happy to let us do. So that's why we need to work out what priorities there are and what we can do with our budget. So it will be a case of looking at what there is and what impact we can have on it.
Okay, but just to be clear, the responsibility for these things though, particularly if they're on like the highway, pavement, things like that, it's not our responsibility.
It's not our responsibility.
It's just we may choose to do
Correct.
it for the benefit of lovely.
Yes.
If I can add, it'd be interesting to actually see this list because some of them may be on pieces of land that we might have in the future, so it would be good to have advance notice of those, wouldn't it, that we can maybe make plans to do something about them. So it'd be interesting to get that list, I think.
Just one thing, Hampshire County Council basically had a pot of money, and that I think Councillor Pradman actually mentioned several times with regards to that. Could we find out if that pot of money is still available?
I could find that out. I believe from speaking to the engagement officer that there is. Yeah, so they haven't mentioned about the pot, but they, I don't believe, have the bandwidth at the moment to do as such. So
That's
I don't know about the pot. I will have to find out about that.
that's how the project started. There was a pot of money at at HCC, which is what was used at Chandler's Ford. So yeah, there was a pot, quite a substantial pot, I believe. Well, based on HCC's finances, I wouldn't be surprised if that's been reallocated somewhere else. But yeah, it would be interesting to see if that does exist.
I'll put an action for me to speak to the community engagement officer to find out.
It's just that basically, if they're giving you a list of the barriers, then I'm assuming that they might have the money as well to help us with regards to them.
It's not HCC that has that list.
No,
So, but I would.
was it the Borough Council?
I believe so.
Oh,
So
sorry,
the
I
plan
thought-
is that we would work alongside both
Okay,
EBC and HCC.
thank you.
Any more discussion? Let's remove the barriers. Speed indicator device.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair.
Sorry?
Basically, where we've got it then and the project is currently paused, are we going to now say we're going to take it off and basically say it's ongoing? So I'm going to propose that we're going to say remove the barrier, the project is ongoing.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? No? Everybody in favour of that?
Thank you.
Everyone, that's good. Right, then that was speed indicator devices.
Okay, so I briefly explained this last time, but I didn't have all of the information. So EBC no longer provide in-house speed indicator devices. So they have given us two options. So we can either hire it through EBC, where they will hire it and do all the legwork and apply for the licensing, all of the testing on the lampposts if required. Or there is the option, they currently have two devices that they would be happy to sell to us. And then we would have to do all of the work, the testing, etc. So, those are your options. Any questions?
Yes.
Can I ask what was our original budget for this project?
Our original budget was £850, so it was originally we were quoted £85 per device. So it has increased, so it's £155 per device, and if we would want the data collection, which from our last meeting where we decided to not go ahead with the community speed watch, that was because the data could be collected from speed indicator devices. So it's my assumption that the committee would like the data collection.
So
that'd be £195 per deployment, plus any EBC officer time. They have estimated it would be between 7 to 10 hours of their time. They haven't given me the costing for that, but that is what they estimate for 9 to 10 devices.
Okay, so what's the total budget with the two? So it was 850, and then just goes to that table at the top again. Sorry, the speed watch. Have we actually given that money back?
We
Or is
have
that still in?
proposed, so Policy and Finance will take that back they'll move it to speed indicator devices.
Oh, sorry, right. So we've agreed to move it. We've asked them to move it back to that. Okay. So we do technically have the budget to do option one.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, with regards to the costing, but if you look at costing, basically it's going to be about £4,000. If you look at if we take on 10,
£300, so it would be £3,000 for
Yeah,
10.
yeah, so in total it's about 4,900, and that's not including the officer's time, 10 hours, and I just wondered if that's per week or per month or what.
No, that would be including the officer's hours. They've estimated that cost at.
Oh, so
So,
the officer,
Yeah. So that would be, the deployment would be per year.
Yeah.
So it would be 3,000 per year.
yeah, plus the rest. Or we're just saying that it's...
It would be approximately that's what they've estimated it
It's
at.
£300 per device,
Per
basically,
device.
for all in.
Not all, I'm adding them all up
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 3,000.
But that's for 10.
Yeah. So we
So from the knowledge that we know, not all of the areas that we have identified can be adopted. So until we go forward with it, they will give us the indication of where things can go. So it might be that, for instance, a street that we've picked out, it might not be able to have it in a certain area, but they'll come up and advise us where there might be something available. They have said where they can save costs is if there has been deployment of a SID there before, then you won't have to do the structural testing on that. So they would give us all that information so that we can make reasoned decisions to try and keep the costs as low as possible.
Quick back of a fag packet calculation, there's £2,500 in the budget then, so that's about 8 devices we've got a budget for. If we were to go with option 1, we could do 8
There
in
is,
budget.
obviously you
based
have
on
also
£300.
the crossing patrol budget that you have, which you are currently deciding to hold on to until the full cost of the SID project are confirmed. So you do actually still have £6,000 in the bank.
And where we talk about per year, but we're not actually talking about having it in the same place for a year, are we? Because certainly, I remember from previous, you know, they would always say there's no point because once people then become...
You move them around every
Yeah.
few weeks, don't you, is the idea.
But this would only actually pay for us to have 8 places, or 10, whatever it is, but 10 places monitored for a period of time.
Yeah. So if you wanted to move them, then
We'd be looking
another
at additional costs, yeah,
yeah.
just so we're all clear on. Yeah.
We need more than 8 sites then, really, don't we? We need quite a few that we can, on rotation, as part of the overall package of quote that we get from, you know, if we were to do it every how often, what would it cost?
I think also, bearing in mind the cost that we're talking about, we should perhaps ask if you could investigate sort of coming up with some guidelines, because, you know, these kind of costs, I think we should have some criteria that kind of triggers it being put in, not just somebody saying, oh well, people are speeding there. I think, you know, because you could always get an isolated car. We need something to say that, you know, there's some circumstances that would trigger it, that we think, okay, yeah, this is a genuine thing that needs evidence. Yes.
Police probably would be able to get data, wouldn't they?
I don't know what that would look like, but I'm sure perhaps EPC already have guidelines drawn up that they used, or other parishes might.
Yes.
I think for me the option 1 is the best option, and I'd certainly like to see the deputy clerk and the team go away and sort of thrash that out with EBC and come with a proper proposal. If we can perhaps provide you with sites where, I mean, you've already got a list of sites, haven't you? But I don't know how many sites you have.
They'll be coming back for review.
Okay.
So.
But I would be in favour of exploring option 1 of the 2 personally.
Sorry, can I just ask as well, what, because again I am aware that these devices go wrong, so who would be responsible for the cost of that? Because I'm presuming EBC are just costing for, you know, somebody having to go out to site, put it up, and then I don't know how you collect the data, doing that side of it. But if it's reported that it's not working or there's an issue, are we then picking up all those costs?
Okay.
And there,
That's
I
fine.
suppose
That's
there'd have to be an
something I can
SLA,
tell you.
wouldn't there, of some description of.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if we propose option 1 in principle with following the caveats about me asking some more information and coming back to the committee.
I'm happy to propose that we explore option 1 of the two, waiting for a full proposal, a full analysis of, you know, how it'll work. But I'm happy to propose that we look at option 1.
So second to that?
Possible.
Ready? Right. All in favour? Very good.
Thank you very much.
Right then, the neighbourhood plan is currently paused.
Yeah, so it's just to note again, so I know this is, it's repetitive, but it just means that it's always going to be in the forefront of our minds that, you know, in May, come May, then this will change. So it's just to keep it on, the same way we have moved barriers on for a long time, it was just so that it was always here. So yes, the neighbourhood plan is currently paused.
Just a question that occurred to me. Just thinking with what's coming down the line with reorganisation and things like that, would us having a neighbourhood plan put us in a stronger position? Just thinking into, I suppose ultimately we're not the planning authority anyway, so no.
Yes.
I think it probably would, but we will get one in time. I think that from speaking to friends of mine that have done this at other parish councils, you're talking 4 or 5 years to actually get from the start of a process to actually adopting a plan from a referendum. It is not a quick process, so even if we were to start now, I don't think we'd have it in time, sadly.
So at the beginning, when we first found out about this, it was something that I looked into whether we could get it done quick enough, and it was, yeah, you could try.
It'll cost you a lot.
So
It's the costs
Mm.
around
yeah.
the core, but basically it's going to be a huge cost.
Yeah.
So
And I guess officers on all sides are just tied up
Yeah.
with all the other stuff.
We'd have to employ someone basically if we wanted to do this.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay then. Crossing patrols. What is, what do you call it? Crossing patrols.
Yeah, so this is again to note that you have decided to hold off on any allocation until the full costs of the SID project are confirmed and the approach for delivering the safety campaign is finalised. So that's still under wraps.
Any comments? There's no one there.
No? It's just for me reminding you of the decisions that the committee has made.
No.
that's fine.
Right then. Community safety speed watch is no longer proceeding.
Again, it's just again the committee being reminded of the decision made.
Is that
So
connected to
that
council?
will be taken off from the chair, that one off the project. So
Yeah, that can
Yeah. So that the deputy clerk has been consulting with the community engagement officer, but will report back to the committee with recommendations for the safety campaign initiative.
Yeah, so I've discussed with the community engagement officer the safety campaign and how he thinks it would be the most effective for the community. He's got a few ideas, so we just need to get the stats and get together and get it back to you before. So I will bring that back as soon as I can. He's a busy boy after the final full council meeting last week, he's got lots on.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay then, so the pension mobility controls.
Okay, so I think I had said something to you about this in previous meetings, but I just wanted to put it together for you. So it's just for information on how we can strengthen our comments.
Right.
I just want to say thank you. That was a really good document. It's really helpful. It's clearly set out, you know, the things that we could do and the things that we need to think about and look at. So I just want to say thank you. It was a very good, very well written document.
Gina?
Yeah, I'd certainly like to second and endorse that, but I was also wondering whether we could take it that step further, where you actually, somewhere it says, although we can't force the borough to obviously do anything, whether we could formally sort of approach them and sort of say this is something that we would like to pursue. And I think it would be helpful to actually know what the borough's view is, because they may well have a view on HMOs.
Yes.
I do wonder if it falls under part of the local plan review that's going on at the moment, and whether it's something that we can raise through that, possibly. And it's done at different stages, isn't it? So I don't know whether we've missed that bit or whether we can raise it or not. But maybe the deputy clerk can go away and have a conversation with the borough and see, as Councillor Campbell said, if there's anything we can do or start a conversation around it, because it is a very good point.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. I'm happy with that. Email committed spends.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do now is when after ELAC have their meetings and they put out their budgetary reports, it's going to be a section in the planning so that you can see what committed spends they have. So this is from the last meeting in September that they've had. So it gives you the committee date, the amount and what they are allocating it to, and it gives you the source of funds, so it gives you the planning application. There is a folder within the file that has section 106s on three particular areas of concern for the community. So it was just to give you the information, so we will just be giving you the information. We have highlighted the need for Eastleigh Town Council's involvement in decision making, and will continue to do so, but we just want the committee to be aware, because they are obviously developer contributions against planning applications. So it's just for information.
Sorry,
Gina?
leave this.
I found it quite difficult to know from some of the descriptions actually what was being proposed, and several of these I wasn't sure if this was just formally tying up stuff that has already been done, or whether some of it, a lot of it referred to humps, for example. So I was thinking then, is this measures against sort of travellers, you know, to protect sites from traveller invasion, if that's the right word, but also, if that was the case, I just sort of felt a little bit, I mean, I don't know if this is the town council's role or what have you, but the developers' contributions, I thought, was to either sort of compensate the community where development means that they've lost something so that they're providing it somewhere else, or to provide sort of assets. And I just sort of thought, oh, well, protecting sort of existing sites from incursion from travellers, etc. Obviously that there are costs and that needs to be paid for, but I just wondered whether, I don't feel that the community, that use is necessarily benefiting the community in the way that it was originally intended. Does that make sense? Do people follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I sure that developers' money should be spent on that. I kind of think that developers' contributions should be spent on positively giving the community something. I don't know, what do others think, or do you think that's a reasonable
I think what
use
we
of
haven't
money?
got is the criteria from EBC of how they allocate this money to that specific.
So that would be against the S106s, so in those S106s will be where the developer has said what the money needs to be spent on and how.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay. Okay. So developers are saying that the Lawn Road, the humps that are there, basically.
Potentially some, so some developer contributions, the way that they word it is quite, you can be quite
Vague.
artistic with it.
Yes.
Some are more so tied in. So it depends on how the S106 is set out as to how it can be spent. So presumably they've looked at the S106s against these and they've found covenants that they can use. But it's more for your information and to be able to see what is happening in our area and what is being spent in our area.
Sorry, I'm just a wee bit confused. Sorry, Chair.
That's quite
I apologise for this. But some of the background that we had, because we saw the land registry and whatever, and under Brookwood's cemetery is the developer's contributions with regards to Burns Close allotment. And I couldn't really see where the connection of that was, because surely for the Burns Close area, that's where the 106 should have gone to. And I think that's my point, is what influence is EBC putting on the developer to say, in the S106, this is where we would want that money to go to, and it might not be necessary to that community that development occurred in.
So with S106, it's not the developer that, so these decisions that have been made, it's not the developer that have decided what's being done necessarily. They might have said it's for community, it's for, so it's ELAC who have decided how this is spent.
That's what I thought at the very beginning, but then when you said with regards to the
So they,
S106,
so they put
actually
certain
says it in
covenants on
there.
it,
And I
but
thought, well, okay.
They could say
They-
transport.
they give them.
They could say you can spend that on transport,
Yeah.
and then it's up to EBC to decide what.
That's right, and that's where I point being is what is the criteria which Councillor Campbell's saying is ELAC adhering to with regards to where that money is going to be spent. And that's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with regards to the money and with all the open spaces that we're taking on, I just wondered, this pot, is it going to be frozen at this time, or is it still going to be carried on with these developments?
Yes.
We don't know. I will be amazed if there's quite a lot of pending things with Section 106 money that have not started, and if the asset comes to us before the work has started, then effectively it doesn't happen. We'll get the money and it'll be up to us to decide what to do with it. And there's a lot of projects that haven't started yet, that have had funds allocated, that, or EBC may say as part of the transfer, you're not getting the money, we'll do that with that money. We don't know. It's all still up in the air at the moment.
Sorry, Chair. The one thing I haven't seen on here in the North Stoneham is any developers' contributions towards North Stoneham. Is that all been allocated? Is that all been spent? Would you know?
No, I think there's still money in the pot.
There's nothing on here.
This was just what was agreed at their last meeting.
Oh, at the
We've got
last-
there is a separate spreadsheet that the
So
asset
there's-
committee have had, I think, that's got pots and what's left.
So we have an overarching spreadsheet for all of the assets and how much money and all of the pots that they have. That was last updated in May, so the asset committee had it then. We haven't had it since updated, so it will be interesting to see how that comes over. But this is just purely the last meeting that ELAC had and the committed spends they made in that meeting.
Any comments? Do we need to vote on this?
No, it's just for your information.
Just for information. Okay. We've done on that one. Then we go on to the Hampshire County Council Transport Strategy.
Okay, so I believe this was sent out to yourselves in September from the clerk. It was brought up in the National Council meeting. So hopefully you've all read it. I read it. It's just for if there's any questions, if you would like to, so it's obviously out to consultation until the 12th of October. So if we would like to respond as a council, here's the time.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I haven't read it all yet because it's a long document and I've not had the time. One thing that did catch my eye was I'm really disappointed that in Appendix 4, the stakeholder engagement workshop, that we knew nothing about that in 2023 when it happened, because we were here and it looks like they forgot about us, but then that's not the first time Hampshire County Council have pretended that we don't exist, is it? As we still don't get everything that we should get from Hampshire County Council. So it's disappointing that we were not included in that, because EBC were, as were representatives of local bus, rail and airport operators. So I just wanted to make that point on the record that I'm disappointed we were not invited, because I think we should have been.
Good point, yes. Tina?
Yes, you won't be surprised to hear that I have some comments on this one, and I do think we should formally respond. The things that I sort of picked out that I thought were of interest, because they are things that have come up in our previous meetings. Certainly I've raised some of these. So in the document they were talking about the fact that they were saying, so this is the, Hampshire County Council, they are the Highways Authority. They were saying that their LTP4 evidenced that traffic levels need to reduce by 10% to achieve their climate change commitments. They talked about the highway network experiencing peak period congestion, which I don't think will come as a shock to any of us, particularly at the motorway junctions, particularly Eastleigh town centre and Eastleigh and towards the east of Eastleigh, so basically the Bishopstoke road sort of going out. And they talked about the significant number of through traffic movements through Eastleigh, basically because of our proximity to Southampton and the fact that obviously it was interesting, a lot of people from Southampton travel to Eastleigh to work here, as well as people from Eastleigh going the other way. But also they come through Eastleigh, again no surprise to any of us sat round here, when there's congestion on the motorway, Eastleigh is used as a sort of cut through. And they talk very much, which I welcome, I hugely welcome, moving away from planning for vehicles towards planning for people and places. So they talked about the high volumes of HGVs on key routes through Eastleigh and Chandler's Ford.
So let's put a recycling plant in.
Yeah, but and this, I find this incredibly frustrating. So I welcome the fact that they recognise all of these things, but every time we have a major planning application that we are asked to comment on, be it the, I know we lost it, well, we didn't lose it, as far as I'm concerned, it was lost. The expansion of the airport, or the refuse, the new site, recycling site over near Campbell Road, the navigation quarter, all of those things, what do we say here as residents of Eastleigh every time we talk about the congestion, the pollution, our concerns about the HGVs, and we don't seem to get the Highways Authority on those very public occasions
saying that, everybody tells us, no, it's all fine. And then you get a document like this, when they say exactly what we say at every planning meeting. And I find that incredibly frustrating. So I would really like us to welcome the fact that in their document they are acknowledging the problems within Eastleigh of congestion, of pollution, the fact that our road network can't expand because we've got the railway lines and we've got all of those things, and they've said that their evidence shows that all building new roads does is actually increase the amount of traffic. And what they say needs to happen is they basically need to switch people away from the roads and get them on public transport.
But they're cutting.
However, as we talked about at the our full council meeting last week, they're cutting bus services. And you know, there is no bus service to the hospital for Eastleigh, the major hospital for Eastleigh, and there's no bus service to it. So I really do think we ought to flag up that this feels very much that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's sort of doing. And as representatives of the, you know, people of Eastleigh, I think it's highly frustrating.
Here, here.
Yeah, I totally agree with Councillor Campbell. I think that she's saying with regards to.
There's more to come.
More to come.
Well, the chicken or laying, getting that house to be more improvements.
Yeah.
When the chicken or laying thing comes in, I think even more Norris, won't it?
Well, this is it, but I think reading through the report as well, which you're bound to think that, oh, she's going to read that part, and that's the Chickenhall Link Road, and they're saying that there's no business case for it at all. And what gets me with regards to all this survey is that it's relating to 2011 and 2015, and it's not current, although, you know, they have plotted in, I think, 2003, and they continue to talk about the pandemic and whatever, and the surveys they did then compared to prior. So I welcome everything that Councillor Campbell has said. They're saying one thing, and then in the other, they're saying the opposite. So we haven't got a clear picture of what that actually this report's all about.
It's not worth the paper it's written on, really, is it?
So with the response, if the committee are happy, what I'll do, it's quite a long one, but I will submit how I feel and I will send it to you first for approval.
It's quite
There's not much time though, is there?
So 12th,
12th of October.
my planning application will be going the next day, so this is quite a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I've got less than 24 hours, more than 24 hours, so we're good. Okay.
So it's you want a response by the 12th?
I need to send it off to them by the 12th, yeah. But it will, that is the Sunday, so it will be the 10th. So it's-
Can I just get clarity then? So what the response that we're giving is we welcome the fact that they're highlighting all these issues because they're absolutely issues, but then why are you doing the complete opposite on the other side of the same council with all the decisions that you're making? That's basically
Yeah.
the theme
Yes.
of the response.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that, more than happy with that. Feel free to highlight the bus routes that have been cut.
Yeah.
Definitely.
61.
Very important.
Sorry, Chair, but I'll tell you, it was interesting with regards to the population. There's more elderly than young children. Yeah. And it's high density within Eastleigh Central. So all of that I thought was quite interesting. And unfortunately 37% of claimants in East claim benefits. So we're talking about the full council meeting and the strategic planning with regards to that, and you know, employing the help to basically get the what's it called? The
thought was really worrying was, talking, with your Chicken Lane Link Road, was the quote that it said, "It is now clear that the link road cannot be delivered without serious environmental impact." And the fact that we have got one of the finest chalk streams in the country, running through that area, I just think is
That chalk stream is well renowned.
yes,
With the test and the actual,
yeah.
it's been published. Yes.
Comments?
No comments.
We look forward to reading through the document.
I'll send that to you soon.
Okay. So that's brings us to the end of the meeting. Next meeting is on bonfire night, that should be good, shouldn't it?
You
Thank
bringing
very much.
you bringing the fireworks, Natasha, for
Yeah.
the next one?